YTBC, what's the deal? So Anthony Joshua, they got an opponent for June 25th. Is going to be Dominic Breazeale. I'm sure a lot of you have probably already heard that news, so really not probably news right now. But we know that Dominic Breazeale was one of the guys mentioned. We know Eric Molina, who out of the guys that they were giving us was my first choice. And another guy that wasn't mentioned but is in the IBF top 15, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, was somebody else who I would like to have seen fight Anthony Joshua, because he's traveled abroad and he's competed in K1 fights, and he's fought in other guys, superstars like Mirko Krokop's home country, and so he's used to that type of atmosphere, although it's K1. And he's undefeated, he's young, and he's came out before and said he'll break Anthony Joshua's jaw. That fight is actually on my page. I did a video on that. So I want to see him. He was another guy that I was choosing. Then Dominic Breazeale was probably last on my list, and no disrespect to Dominic Breazeale. And let me give a shout out again, and I've done this quite a few times, but I'm going to keep giving them shout outs, man, because what they did, in my opinion, is pretty remarkable. And that's All-American Heavyweight, that camp out there in Carson, California. This is their second guy now that they've brought through that camp, I think since about 2007, 2008, that is going to get a shot at a heavyweight title. Charles Martin won the title. Dominic Breazeale was an Olympian through the All-American camp, and then now Dominic Breazeale is going to get his title shot. So you got to give them some credit. Now, with Anthony Joshua, the actual matchup, Breazeale's about 6'7", 6'8", former collegiate Division I football player, starter, quarterback. So he's a natural athlete, has natural size and ability. I like to see when these guys stand toe-to-toe to really see, because, sometimes they'll say a guy is 6'9", and then he stands next to somebody that's 6'6", and then you look, and there's no 3-inch height difference there, you know what I mean? So we'll see when they stand next to each other, but I think he's about a legit 6'7", 6'8", but we'll see when he's standing next to Joshua. And if he is legit 6'7", 6'8", then he'll be an inch or two taller. Their physique, Joshua looks to be the stronger guy by far. But you never know, though, once they get in there and, their bodies start to fall against each other and they're pushing and grabbing, you never know, Vladimir, his body physique looks a million times better than Tyson Fury. And on fight night, it looked like Tyson Fury was the stronger of the two. Regardless of the physique and bulging muscles, looked like Fury was the stronger of the two in the clinch. But Breazeale, right now as I'm doing this fight, I'm watching the Mansour fight. I know he's undefeated. I thought he was losing this fight. He busted Mansour's mouth. Mansour cut his tongue. And that's not Breazeale's fault. Shit, it's, he's the one that delivered the punch that made him cut his tongue and rip his tongue apart inside of his mouth. Then I think he had a busted jaw. That's not Breazeale's fault, man. He was the last man standing, got knocked on his ass, got up and persevered. That's something that Charles Martin never been through. He's never had to persevere through anything. Yes, he did have that draw on his record early in his career. Martin did, but I didn't get to see that fight. I don't know what happened in that fight. Breazeale, though, I think that it's going to be a good fight with Anthony Joshua. I like his, he's going to try to pump that jab. I'm watching this fight with Mansour, man, and I watched the Fred Cassie fight, another fight that I thought was at least a draw. I just see Anthony Joshua coming over Breazeale's jab with his right hand. I just don't see his jab really doing anything to Anthony Joshua, man. It's not really a quick snapping jab. It's not really a hard, Stunny Liston, Ray Mercer type of jab. It's a hard thudding jab. And it's really not quick, and it's really not rangy like a Carl the Truth Williams. It's not quick like a Larry Holmes. It's not fluid and rapid like a Ali. And I know I'm comparing his jab to some of the all-time great jabbers, but I'm just saying when I see his jab for a big guy like this, doesn't really have much on it. He pecks away with it. Looks like he's trying to just work his way into a punching range so he can try to throw that right hand, left hook combination. You can maybe say he got knocked on his ass by Mansour because Mansour can punch hard. He is a hard puncher. Can he punch harder than Joshua? We can argue that. Shit, I've never been punched by either one of them, but I do know Mansour has some pop, and maybe it was that southpaw stance that was given Uh, Breazeale some problems. But the thing with him is once he starts to get hit and clipped a few times, guess what he'll do? He'll throw up the high guard and let you get him finish and wait until you're finished and then try to move and get out the way. If he does that, especially out in the O2 arena, if he gets, let's say he gets clipped with a good right hand and he falls into the ropes and then throws up the high guard and try to weather the storm, if Joshua starts to throw a flurry, even if Breazeale's not completely hurt or out, they might stop the fight. You know, so he's going to have to stand, man. He's going to have to stand and he's going to have to trade. I don't really see him being able to, I don't think his back foot game is good enough to beat Anthony Joshua. And if he comes forward and try to sit down, he's going to, you know, hit a home run or he's going to get knocked out. This is what I love about the heavyweights. So I'm going with Anthony Joshua, man. I think he's just more technically skilled fighter than Dominic Breazeale. I think he's physically stronger. I think his technique is better. I think his defense a little bit more responsible. But for a big guy, I will say that Breazeale can move. He isn't just a complete plotter, but doesn't bend at the waist all that well. Doesn't really work on the inside. He prefers the clinch. Doesn't really throw when he's close. You know, and dealing with a big man that can punch is different than dealing with a little guy that can punch. Because you may get hit by a much smaller guy with some pop, and you may be able to get up after that. You know, you may be able to shake it off. Whereas you're getting hit by a man that is pretty much your size, you may not be able to jump off the canvas as fast, you know. Then I think Anthony Joshua, I think his jab is better. He showed some counter-punching ability in the Charles Martin fight. Those are actually the right hands that was putting Martin on his ass. He was getting countered. And I think once Breazeale figures out that, man, Joshua's going to hit me with some counter punches, he's not going to see him coming. It may be a right hand he may not see coming. And I think it may be a right hand over his jab. I really do. But, you know, one thing you can say for Anthony Joshua, though, he's fought Gary Cornish, up-and-coming, undefeated guy. He steamrolled him. Then after the fight, people said, oh, he was a bum. Okay, but I didn't think he was a bum. I thought he was another undefeated prospect. I favored Joshua, but that's one undefeated guy that he's beaten. Dillian White's another undefeated guy he's beaten. Charles Martin's another undefeated guy he's beaten. And now he's going against Dominic Breazeale. This IBF title is pretty much prospects fighting for it, man. That's pretty much what it is. I know some of you don't like to hear the P word when I bring up Anthony Joshua. I'm sorry, man. 15, 16 fights, that's still prospect level to me. Yes, he beat Martin, but I thought Martin was a prospect. You know what I mean? So, with that said, though, he's learning on the job. You really can't get mad at a guy that's working his way up, fighting other undefeated guys that's trying to work their way up also. This is his fourth one in a row. I give him a lot of credit for that. But I think Anthony Joshua's going to win this fight. As an American, I know we have a little friendly rivalry with the UK. I believe we both have 12 world champions. The last time I checked, I thought the USA and the UK had 12 champs. Somebody fact check me. I think we're both at 12. And I think Stephen Smith was trying to win the other week here against, I forgot who he was fighting, man. Pedraza, I forgot the guy's name he was fighting. And he lost that fight. Smith lost that fight. But I think we're both at 12 and 12 right now. But as an American, yeah, I would love for Dominic Breazeale to bring the title back. I would love to. I'm not going to lie. But when I really break down the fight, look at both guys' skill set and what I see in the ring, I see Anthony Joshua winning this fight 10 times out of 10. Just my opinion. I'm going to do more videos on this. YTBC. I'm out.